The quantum signal pulsed against the Artemis's sensors like a heartbeat in the void. Lieutenant Sarah Chen stared at the readout, her fingers hovering over the holographic display as she rechecked the measurements for the third time. The signal was unlike anything recorded in human history, a complex pattern that seemed to dance between dimensions. "Captain Rodriguez," she called out, her voice steady despite her excitement. "I think you need to see this." The bridge of the Artemis hummed with the subtle vibration of its fusion drives as Captain Maya Rodriguez made her way to the sensor station. The starship's first deep space expedition had already yielded remarkable discoveries, but this was different. The signal carried an unmistakable artificial pattern. "Show me the frequency analysis," Rodriguez ordered, leaning closer to the display. The three-dimensional graph materialized in the air between them, its peaks and valleys telling a story of advanced technology and desperate communication. The bridge crew worked in focused silence as they began to decrypt the message. Hours passed as their quantum computers processed the multilayered data stream. First Officer James Cooper maintained their holding position at the edge of explored space, the unfamiliar stars around them bearing witness to humanity's first contact with a war that had raged for centuries. As the decryption progressed, the story emerged piece by piece. The signal contained battle records, strategic analyses, and tactical data from two vastly advanced civilizations: the Nexus Collective, a society of mechanical beings whose neural networks spanned entire star systems, and the Star Shapers, a crystalline species that had mastered the art of manipulating spacetime itself. "Their conflict has reached a perfect stalemate," Chen explained, highlighting key portions of the data. "Both sides have developed predictive algorithms so advanced they can anticipate each other's strategies centuries in advance. Every possible move has a perfect counter-move. They're trapped in an endless loop of their own creation." Rodriguez studied the tactical displays showing the latest battle between the two forces. Massive fleets of automated ships danced through space in precisely calculated patterns, each maneuver following mathematical principles so complex they bordered on artistic. But something caught her eye, a subtle flaw in the perfection. "There," she said, enhancing a section of the replay. "Their predictions are based on pure logic, but they're missing something fundamental. They've become so advanced they've lost the ability to introduce true randomness into their strategies." The bridge crew gathered around the display as Rodriguez demonstrated her observation. The Star Shapers' crystalline ships moved with geometric precision, while the Nexus Collective's vessels responded with equally perfect counterformations, but their very perfection had become their limitation. "They've evolved beyond the imperfection that drives innovation," Cooper added, beginning to understand. "They need something they've engineered out of their civilizations, the organic spark of intuition." Rodriguez straightened up, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Humanity's first interstellar expedition had discovered something unprecedented, a chance to prove that despite their technological limitations, humans possessed qualities that even the most advanced civilizations might need. "Prepare a response signal," she ordered. "We're going to offer them something they haven't seen in centuries: the human element, the ability to act on instinct, to make choices that defy pure logic." As the crew began composing their message, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter through the bridge's observation dome. Humanity was about to step onto a galactic stage, not as conquered primitives or technological inferiors, but as bearers of a gift that centuries of advancement couldn't replicate: the beautiful imperfection of organic life. The next 5 hours would change the course of 3 civilizations forever, and it would all begin with a simple message: "We see your pattern, and we know how to break it." The response from the Nexus Collective arrived with mathematical precision, exactly 1,000 seconds after the Artemis transmission. Lieutenant Chen's hands moved swiftly across the quantum decoder as streams of data materialized in the ship's systems. "They're curious," she announced, her expression brightening as she processed the message. "The Star Shapers have also acknowledged our transmission. Both sides are requesting proof of our observations." Captain Rodriguez stood at the center of the bridge, watching as twin holograms flickered to life before her. On one side, the Nexus Collective's representation appeared as shifting geometric patterns of pure light. On the other, the Star Shapers manifested as a crystalline lattice that seemed to bend space itself. Your species is young. The Collective's patterns pulsed in translated speech. Your technology is primitive by our standards, yet you claim to see what we cannot. The Star Shapers' response resonated through the ship's hull. We have calculated every possible strategic variation for 3 centuries. There are no patterns we have not analyzed. Rodriguez gestured to Chen, who projected their analysis into the shared holographic space. Look here, the captain began, highlighting a series of battle movements. Your formations follow perfect mathematical principles, but that's exactly why they're predictable. Human military history shows that sometimes the most effective strategy is one that appears to have no strategy at all. The bridge crew watched as she demonstrated using historical Earth battles, ancient naval encounters where inferior forces had triumphed through unconventional tactics, space dogfight simulations that demonstrated the value of human instinct over pure calculation. First Officer Cooper added their fleet's combat data to the presentation. Our ships may be less advanced, but our pilots can make decisions that would appear irrational to your prediction engines. They can choose to take calculated risks based on gut feelings, something your algorithms can't replicate. The crystalline pattern of the Star Shapers flickered with what might have been concern. Your tactical decisions often defy optimal solutions. This introduces chaos into our calculations. Exactly, Rodriguez smiled. Chaos is our specialty. Humanity's greatest achievements often came from decisions that any logical analysis would have rejected as too risky or improbable. The Nexus Collective's patterns swirled in complex algorithms as they processed this information. We detect no deception in your transmission, yet your proposal contradicts centuries of tactical doctrine. You suggest introducing randomness into perfect systems. Not randomness, Chen interjected, pulling up the latest battle data. Innovation. Look at these engagement patterns. You're both so focused on countering each other's perfect moves that you've created a closed system. You need an outside perspective to break the cycle. Rodriguez stepped forward, her voice carrying the weight of conviction. Let us demonstrate. Give us one small-scale engagement, a chance to show you what human intuition can bring to your conflict. If we're wrong, you've lost nothing but a few minutes of time. The 2 ancient civilizations processed this proposal in their own ways, the Collective through rapid calculations, the Star Shapers through crystalline resonance. The silence on the bridge stretched as humanity awaited their verdict. Finally, both holograms pulsed with agreement. Your species shows remarkable confidence, the Collective observed. We will permit a demonstration in the Helios sector, where a minor skirmish is scheduled to begin in 20 standard hours. Be warned, the Star Shapers added, their crystals chiming with authority. If your intervention proves disruptive to established battle protocols, consequences will be severe. As the transmissions ended, the bridge crew exchanged glances of both excitement and apprehension. They had done the impossible, convinced 2 hyper-advanced civilizations to give humanity a chance. Now they had to prove that sometimes the best solution to a problem isn't the most logical one. Well, Cooper said, breaking the tension with a slight smile, I suppose we should start planning how to show them the benefits of thinking inside a box that doesn't exist. The command station of the Nexus Collective stretched before the Artemis crew like a cathedral built of living light. Quantum processors larger than cities calculated battle strategies even as they hosted this unprecedented diplomatic meeting. Captain Rodriguez led her small team through corridors that shifted and realigned themselves, geometric patterns flowing like liquid mathematics. Their entire station is one massive neural network, Lieutenant Chen whispered, her handheld scanner struggling to process the complexity surrounding them. Every surface is computing possible outcomes of our presence here. The delegation reached a vast chamber where representatives from both civilizations awaited them. The Nexus Collective manifested as pillars of pure data, while the Star Shapers appeared via quantum projection, their crystalline forms refracting light in impossible ways. We have prepared a series of combat simulations, the nearest data pillar announced. You will demonstrate your claimed advantages in a controlled environment. First Officer Cooper stepped forward, carrying a secure case containing Earth's contribution to the demonstration. We've brought something that might interest you. Historical records of battles where superior forces were defeated by unexpected strategies. The simulation chamber activated, surrounding them with a perfect recreation of space. The Star Shaper's projection chimed with skepticism. We have calculated every possible tactical variation. Your primitive encounters cannot offer new insights. Rodriguez smiled. Load the Battle of Thermopylae, she commanded. The chamber shifted, recreating the ancient Greek battlefield. Now, by your logical analysis, what would be the optimal strategy for the defending force? The civilizations processed the scenario instantly. The collective's response came first. The defensive position is untenable. Surrender would be the only logical choice when faced with such overwhelming odds. Yet that's not what happened. Cooper continued, advancing the simulation to show the actual battle. The defenders chose a strategy that seemed suicidal, but exploited the terrain and the enemy's overconfidence. They achieved what your calculations would have deemed impossible. The chamber cycled through more examples. Guerrilla warfare scenarios, space combat simulations where human pilots had overcome automated defense systems, even games of strategy where champions had defeated supposedly perfect computer opponents. What you're seeing isn't just randomness, Chen explained, highlighting key moments in each scenario. It's human intuition, our ability to recognize patterns that exist outside of pure mathematical analysis. The Star Shaper's crystalline forms resonated with increasing frequency. Your species deliberately chooses suboptimal strategies. This defies tactical logic. Sometimes the best move is the one your opponent never considers because it appears too irrational, Rodriguez responded. She gestured to the simulation controls. Let us demonstrate in real time. Set up your most recent battle scenario. The chamber transformed into a perfect replica of the ongoing conflict. Massive fleets of crystalline ships faced off against the collective's geometric vessels, their movements following predictable patterns of attack and counterattack. Now watch what happens when we introduce human tactical control, Cooper said, taking command of a small squadron in the simulation. The human-controlled ships began moving in ways that seemed chaotic at first, but soon revealed an underlying purpose that neither side had predicted. The collective's data pillars flickered with rapid calculations. Your movements. They follow no established doctrine. Yet they are achieving a 23% higher success rate than our optimal solutions. Because we're not trying to be perfect, Rodriguez explained. We're introducing controlled imperfection, the kind that evolution built into organic minds over millions of years. The simulation continued as both civilizations watched human intuition reshape their understanding of tactical possibility. Ships moved like schools of fish, like flocks of birds, like dancers in a cosmic ballet that defied prediction yet achieved remarkable results. Perhaps the Star Shapers resonated thoughtfully. We have been limited by our pursuit of perfection. The collective's response carried a new tone, something almost like curiosity. Your demonstration suggests possibilities we had not considered. We request your participation in the upcoming Helios sector engagement. As the simulation chamber powered down, Rodriguez exchanged glances with her crew. They had done more than prove their worth. They had shown two ancient civilizations that the future might depend on embracing the very imperfections they had engineered away. The holographic war room aboard the Artemis hummed with energy as Captain Rodriguez presented her 5-hour battle plan. Representatives from Earth's modest fleet joined virtually, their projections scattered among the physical presence of her bridge crew. The stakes were unprecedented. Humanity's first and possibly only chance to prove their worth in an interstellar conflict. The Star Shaper's crystalline fleet assembles here, she gestured, highlighting a sector of space near a binary star system. The Nexus Collective's forces are approaching from these vectors. Both sides expect another deadlock, but we're going to change that. Lieutenant Chen projected the detailed analysis of both fleets. Their ships outclass ours in every technical aspect, but we've identified 3 critical weaknesses in their perfect formations, gaps that only human intuition could spot. The plan unfolded in the air before them, a dance of light and strategy. First Officer Cooper pointed to the initial phase marker. We'll need to deploy our ships in seemingly random patterns, but each movement must have purpose, like a school of fish appearing chaotic to predators while following complex social rules. The risk factors are significant. One of the Earth Fleet commanders noted, his hologram flickering with concern. We'll be placing our ships directly between 2 of the most powerful forces in known space. Rodriguez nodded, her expression serious but determined. Which is exactly why they won't expect it. Their prediction engines calculate that no rational species would attempt this strategy. That's our advantage. Chen brought up the neural network analysis they'd received from the collective. Their combat computers will try to predict our movements based on optimal tactical responses. Instead, we'll react based on trained instinct and coordination. Every human pilot will have general objectives but freedom to improvise. Like jazz musicians in a combat symphony, Cooper added, drawing curious looks from some of the commanders. Each player knows the key and tempo but creates their own interpretation of the melody. The room fell silent as Rodriguez outlined the most crucial aspect of the plan. The real key is synchronization. We have 5 hours to prove that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our numbers, but our ability to adapt and innovate in real time. Tactical overlays filled the space, showing how Earth's ships would weave between the 2 alien fleets. The maneuvers seemed to defy conventional military doctrine, incorporating elements from nature, art, and even ancient dance patterns. Each hour has a specific objective, she continued, highlighting the timeline. We're not trying to defeat either side through force. Our goal is to demonstrate how organic intuition can break through the limitations of pure logic. One of the fleet commanders raised a concern. The Star Shaper's crystalline technology can reshape space itself. How do we counter that? By accepting that we can't, Cooper responded. Instead of trying to predict and prevent their space-folding techniques, we'll treat them like changes in weather. Sailors don't fight a storm, they read its patterns and use its energy. Chen added the final simulation layer, showing the projected outcomes. If we succeed, we'll do more than break their stalemate. We'll prove that the future of space combat isn't about removing the human element. It's about finding the perfect balance between organic insight and technological precision. The room erupted in detailed discussions as commanders and crew members analyzed their roles in the unprecedented operation. Rodriguez watched her plan being dissected and refined, knowing that in a few hours it would either make history or become a cautionary tale about human hubris. The dawn of the new era of warfare begins in 5 hours, she announced, her voice cutting through the conversations. But remember, our real victory won't be defeating either side. It will be showing them a better way forward together. As the commanders finalized their preparations, the stars beyond the Artemis seemed to twinkle with anticipation. Soon, they would witness something unprecedented, humanity's first dance in the cosmic ballet of interstellar warfare. The binary stars of the Helios sector painted the battlefield in shades of gold and crimson as Earth's fleet took its position. Captain Rodriguez watched from the Artemis command deck as the Star Shaper's crystalline armada emerged from fold space, their ships refracting starlight like cosmic prisms. The Nexus Collective's vessels appeared moments later, their geometric forms arranging themselves in mathematically perfect attack formations. All ships report ready, Lieutenant Chen announced, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. The Star Shapers are already calculating our probable attack vectors. Let them calculate, Rodriguez smiled. Signal all commanders. Operation Firefly begins now. The first wave of Earth ships surged forward, but instead of forming traditional battle lines, they moved like a murmuration of starlings. Each vessel followed its neighbors in flowing, organic patterns that seemed random yet held a deeper purpose. The alien fleets paused, their prediction engines struggling to determine the tactical logic behind such movements. "They're trying to categorize our formation," Cooper reported, monitoring the quantum chatter between the two alien forces. "Their combat computers are cycling through known strategies, finding no matches." The Star Shapers reacted first, their crystalline ships attempting to encircle the human fleet with a perfect dodecahedron formation. But as their ships moved to trap the Earth vessels, they found themselves grasping at shadows. The human ships flowed through the gaps in their formation like water through crystal. Second phase, Rodriguez commanded, "Show them the ocean." Earth's fleet suddenly shifted its movement patterns, now mimicking the complex dynamics of deep ocean currents. Ships spiraled in three-dimensional patterns that recalled the movement of marine life, creating eddies and flows that disrupted the carefully calculated positions of both alien forces. "The collective is adjusting their strategy," Chen reported, excitement creeping into her voice. "They're attempting to counter what they think is our underlying pattern, but they're solving the wrong puzzle." Rodriguez watched as the geometric ships of the collective moved to intercept what their computers predicted would be the human fleet's next position. Instead, Earth's ships scattered like schools of fish evading a predator, their seemingly chaotic dispersion following hidden rules that only human intuition could fully grasp. "Their crystalline matrix is showing signs of strain," Cooper observed, indicating the fluctuating energy readings from the Star Shaper fleet. "They're computing too many possible variations at once." The dance continued as the first hour approached its midpoint. Earth's ships moved in ways that defied traditional space combat doctrine, their patterns drawn from nature itself, the spiraling arms of galaxies, the orbital dance of binary stars, the flowing currents of Earth's oceans. "Look at their formations," Chen pointed out. "Both sides are starting to show microscopic imperfections in their usually perfect patterns. They're trying to adapt to our movements, but they can't predict what they don't understand." The collective's ships attempted to form a containment grid, their energy beams creating a web of light to restrict the human fleet's movement. In response, the Earth ships performed a maneuver based on the way light bends through water, finding paths through the energy grid that the collective's computers had calculated to be impossible. "Final movement of the first hour," Rodriguez announced. "Show them the lightning." The human fleet suddenly converged from all directions, their ships tracing patterns like electricity arcing through clouds. The Star Shapers' crystalline vessels vibrated with increasing frequency as their prediction engines failed to compute the seemingly random yet perfectly coordinated assault. As the first hour drew to a close, the battlefield had transformed from a chess match between perfect opponents into a swirling dance of organic movement and mechanical precision. The alien fleets had begun to show signs of something they hadn't experienced in centuries: uncertainty. "Hour 1 complete," Cooper reported, allowing himself a slight smile. "And they haven't even seen our best moves yet." As the second hour began, the battlefield shimmered with the afterglow of energy weapons and quantum distortions. Captain Rodriguez studied the tactical display, where the Star Shapers' crystalline fleet had begun to adapt their formations, attempting to mirror the fluid movements of the human ships. "They're learning," Lieutenant Chen observed, her fingers moving across the sensor controls. "But they're learning the wrong lessons. They're trying to copy our previous patterns instead of understanding our principles." First Officer Cooper pointed to a new formation emerging among the collective's ships. "They're deploying their quantum prediction matrix. They think they've identified our underlying strategy." "Perfect," Rodriguez smiled. "Signal all ships. Begin phase Mirage." The Earth fleet suddenly split into smaller groups, each adopting different tactical patterns simultaneously. One squadron moved like autumn leaves in the wind, another like sand particles in a desert storm, while a third mimicked the rippling surface of a disturbed pond. The Star Shaper's crystalline matrix is showing unprecedented fluctuations, Chen reported. Their ships are literally vibrating with computational strain as they try to predict multiple organic patterns at once. The Nexus Collective's response came swiftly, their geometric vessels forming a three-dimensional grid designed to trap and analyze each human squadron separately. But as their energy fields reached out to contain the Earth ships, they found themselves grasping at reflections. Deploy the quantum wake generators, Rodriguez commanded. The human ships activated devices that bent light and sensor readings around them, creating false echoes and phantom signatures that multiplied their apparent numbers. We're not just giving them multiple patterns to analyze, Cooper explained as the alien fleets struggled to distinguish real ships from sensor ghosts. We're showing them that their fundamental approach to combat is flawed. They're trying to solve each puzzle piece separately instead of seeing the whole picture. The third hour brought a new level of complexity to the battle. The Star Shapers attempted to use their space-folding technology to cut off the human fleet's escape routes, but Earth's ships responded by treating the warped space like ocean currents, using the distortions to enhance their maneuverability instead of fighting against them. Their crystalline command structure is beginning to show fractal imperfections, Chen announced, highlighting the microscopic changes in the Star Shaper fleet's formation. The organic uncertainty we've introduced is affecting their entire tactical network. Rodriguez watched as the collective's ships tried to establish a new containment pattern. They still think this is about strategy. They haven't realized it's about adaptation. The human fleet demonstrated this principle by suddenly shifting their entire approach. Ships that had been moving like scattered leaves now float like mercury, combining and separating in patterns that defied both physical expectations and tactical analysis. The alien fleets found their perfect formations disrupted by movements that seemed to follow no logical pattern yet achieved devastating effectiveness. The collective's primary battle computer is showing signs of cascade failure, Cooper reported. They've devoted so much processing power to predicting our movements that they're losing coordination with their own fleet. As the third hour drew to a close, the battlefield had become a symphony of chaos and order. Human ships danced through the gaps in alien formations, their movements guided by intuition and experience rather than mathematical certainty. The Star Shaper's crystalline vessels vibrated with increasing dissonance, while the collective's geometric ships showed signs of desynchronization. 3 hours complete, Chen announced, her voice carrying a note of triumph. Both alien fleets are showing a 15% decrease in tactical coordination. Their perfect unity is beginning to crack. Rodriguez nodded, her expression serious but satisfied. They're beginning to understand. In trying to predict and counter us, they've started to adopt our patterns without realizing it. Their fleets are moving more organically, more naturally. And that's exactly what we wanted, Cooper added. We're not just breaking their stalemate. We're teaching them a new way to fight, a new way to think. The stars seemed to twinkle in approval as the battle entered its fourth hour, the balance of power shifting not through superior technology or numbers, but through the introduction of something the ancient civilizations had forgotten, the beauty of imperfection. The fourth hour dawned in the Helios sector with a display of light and motion that defied conventional warfare. The binary stars cast their dual shadows across the battlefield as the human fleet executed their most daring maneuver yet. Captain Rodriguez stood at the center of the Artemis Bridge, her eyes fixed on the tactical display where three civilizations' destinies intertwined. All ships initiate the Constellation Protocol, she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Lieutenant Chen's fingers danced across the quantum interface, coordinating the movements of every Earth vessel. The fleet is responding. Formation Lyra is taking shape. The human ships began moving in patterns inspired by the very stars around them, each squadron forming familiar stellar configurations before flowing into new ones. The Star Shaper's crystalline fleet watched as their opponents transformed from a military formation into a living star map. Their computational matrices are showing unprecedented disruption, Cooper reported, monitoring the alien fleet's reactions. They're detecting familiar patterns but can't predict their tactical significance. The Star Shapers attempted to counter by reshaping space itself, their crystalline vessels bending reality to create navigational barriers. But the human fleet responded by treating these distortions like gravitational wells, using them to enhance their maneuverability rather than fighting against them. Look at the collective's response. Chen pointed to the geometric ships that had begun moving in increasingly organic patterns. They're unconsciously mimicking our movements. Their perfect formations are evolving into something new. Rodriguez nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. They're learning without realizing it. Their ships are starting to move like schools of fish, like flocks of birds, natural patterns their combat computers would never have conceived. The battlefield had become a canvas where physics and art merged. Human vessels traced constellations in 3 dimensions, their movements telling stories written in light and motion. The Star Shapers' crystals refracted these patterns, creating cascading rainbows that turned space itself into a prismatic display. Energy readings from both fleets are fluctuating, Cooper announced. The Star Shapers' crystalline matrix is resonating with our movement patterns, and the collective's quantum network is showing signs of adaptive reconfiguration. Chen highlighted a section of the tactical display where the alien ships have begun moving in harmony with the human fleet. They're not just fighting anymore, they're participating in something entirely new. A combination of organic intuition and technological precision that neither side thought possible. The human fleet continued its stellar dance, each movement precisely calculated yet flowing with natural grace. Ships formed the shape of Orion, then flowed into Cassiopeia, then Ursa Major, each transformation serving both tactical and symbolic purposes. The Star Shapers' command crystal is vibrating at frequencies we've never seen, Chen reported, her voice filled with wonder. It's as if their entire fleet is resonating with the harmony we've created. Rodriguez watched as the collective's ships began weaving between the constellation patterns, their movements no longer bound by rigid geometric algorithms. They're not trying to predict us anymore. They're learning to improvise. The 4th hour approached its end with a display that would be remembered for centuries. The human fleet split into 3 groups, each one interacting with the alien forces in a different way. One squadron danced with the Star Shapers, another merged patterns with the collective, while the third maintained its own unique rhythm. Final readings confirm it, Cooper announced triumphantly. Both alien fleets have abandoned their original combat protocols. They're operating on principles that combine their technological precision with organic adaptability. Chen's console lit up with incoming transmissions. We're receiving simultaneous requests for tactical data sharing from both sides. They want to understand how we achieve this synthesis. Rodriguez smiled as she watched the 3 fleets moving in an intricate dance of cooperation rather than combat. Send them everything. This was never about winning a battle. It was about showing them a better way to wage war, and perhaps a better way to make peace. As the 4th hour came to a close, the binary stars seemed to shine brighter, as if nature itself approved of this unprecedented harmony between organic intuition and mechanical perfection. The 5th and final hour began with a moment of profound silence across the battlefield. The binary stars of the Helios sector cast their golden light across 3 fleets that had begun moving as one, their formations blending technological precision with organic grace. Captain Rodriguez stood on the Artemis Bridge, watching as centuries of conflict transformed into something entirely new. Both the Star Shapers and the Collective are requesting direct communication, Lieutenant Chen announced, her hands hovering over the quantum communications array. Their signatures show patterns we've never seen before. The holographic projections materialized simultaneously. The Star Shapers' crystalline form pulsed with rainbow harmonics, while the Collective's geometric patterns flowed with newfound fluidity. Both ancient civilizations had been transformed by the last 4 hours of battle. We have observed something unprecedented. The star shaper's resonance carried a tone of wonder. Our crystals vibrate with frequencies that mirror your organic patterns. We cannot predict them, yet they feel correct. The collective's response came with equal amazement. Our combat computers have detected a form of order within your chaos, a mathematical beauty and imperfection that our algorithms never considered possible. First Officer Cooper monitored the tactical display as the three fleets continued their cosmic dance. Their ships are moving in perfect synchronization with ours now, not through calculation or force, but through genuine harmony. Rodriguez stepped forward, addressing both ancient civilizations. What you're experiencing is adaptation, the fundamental principle that guided Earth's evolution. The ability to change, to grow, to find new solutions through the blend of instinct and intelligence. The battlefield had become a proving ground for this new philosophy. Human ships wove between crystalline formations that bent space itself, while geometric vessels traced patterns that seemed to dance with the stars. The rigid strategies that had deadlocked the two powers for centuries dissolved into floating movements that achieved greater effectiveness through their very unpredictability. The Star Shaper's crystal matrix is realigning, Chen reported, wonder in her voice. They're not just copying our movements anymore, they're incorporating organic principles into their core structure. And the collective's quantum network, Cooper added, is developing new algorithms based on natural patterns. Rivers, weather systems, migration routes, they're learning from the very chaos they once sought to eliminate. The final hour brought a series of maneuvers that would be studied for generations. The three fleets moved together in formations that married the Star Shaper's space-folding abilities with the collective's computational precision and humanity's intuitive grace. Each civilization contributed its strengths while learning from the others. We propose an immediate cessation of hostilities, the Star Shapers announced, their crystalline forms shimmering with new purpose. This demonstration has shown us a path forward that neither side could have discovered alone. The collective's patterns swirled in agreement. We calculate infinite possibilities in this new approach. The synthesis of organic adaptation with technological advancement suggests solutions beyond combat. Rodriguez watched as the battlefield transformed into a space of collaboration. Ships that had been locked in combat for centuries now moved in harmony, their combined movements creating patterns that seemed to echo the very rhythm of the universe. Transmission from Earth Command, Chen announced, her smile evident in her voice. They're requesting detailed records of everything that happened here. This could revolutionize not just military strategy, but how we approach problem-solving across all fields. As the fifth hour drew to a close, the three fleets arranged themselves in a formation that symbolized their new understanding, a perfect blend of crystalline precision, geometric calculation, and organic flow. The binary stars seemed to shine brighter, their light refracting through the Star Shaper's crystals and reflecting off the collective's surfaces to create a spectacular display. 5 hours, Cooper mused, looking at the chronometer. 5 hours to end a war that lasted centuries. Rodriguez shook her head, smiling. No, 5 hours to begin something entirely new. This isn't an ending. It's an evolution. The stars of the Helios sector bore witness as three civilizations embarked on a journey that would reshape the galaxy, proving that sometimes the greatest victories come not through force or calculation, but through the courage to embrace change and the wisdom to learn from each other.